Hello everyone, welcome to the first PUC online classes of PU Board Karnataka. In continuation with the previous session, today let us learn about the state of infrastructure in India under the lesson infrastructure. Yesterday in your previous session you all learnt about what is infrastructure, what are the types of infrastructure and what are the benefits that we are deriving out of the modern infrastructural facilities. Today, let us see about the state of infrastructure in India as well as both in urban India and rural India. So, now let us see about the two important components of infrastructure, that is energy. In today's session, let us see about the energy, its consumption and the generation of different types of energy. So, now let us see the energy. You all know that it is very important input for the production sector. As you all know, during this pandemic season, it is made possible for both of us to communicate each other with the help of this power and with the help of this electricity. So, this is made possible because of the development of infrastructure in the area of communication. As yesterday we have learned that there are two types of infrastructure, that is economic and social. The first one, as you all know, the economic infrastructure, it helps in the promoting of economic activities. Whenever you hear the word economic infrastructure, it should come to your mind that these three are the important components of economic infrastructure. The very important three components of economic infrastructure are transportation, communication and energy. Here, when you come towards the social infrastructure, it is one which helps in the improving of the quality of the human resources of a country. In your previous lesson of human capital formation, you all learned that human can convert himself into human capital with the help of additional qualification, skill and training. So, a better social infrastructure will help the human to convert himself into human capital. So, now let us see about the important components of health infrastructure, that is the health, education and housing. Better health facilities help the human resources to perform well and contribute to the GDP of the country. And education facilities, this is very important, and you are all learning the education through online classes, and it is because of the better education facilities provided to you from well established institutions. Then let us go to the next one, that is housing. That is housing facilities that are provided by different types of projects of central government and state government help the citizens of our country to have better shelter. We all know that there are three important components that should be met with to eradicate poverty, and they are roti, kapda or makan. Like that only, you have to keep these three components under both economic infrastructure as well as social infrastructure, that is transportation, communication and energy under the economic infrastructure, and the health, education and housing under the social infrastructure. So, now let us see how are we categorizing the energy resources. The energy resources are categorized into four, that is commercial sources of energy, non-commercial energy sources, conventional sources of energy as well as non-conventional sources of energy. So, now let us understand one by one what is meant by commercial sources of energy. Children, you all know that the commercial sources are nothing but, as the name itself says, that these sources are commanding price. We have to pay some price for it and then only we can get it. So, we have to buy a commercial source of energy. It is sold in the trading activity. Commercial source are these sources which command price and the users have to pay for it. For example, coal, electricity, and these are exhaustible. You all know that it is very difficult to obtain coal because thousands of years are taken to obtain the coal, and you cannot buy it anywhere as you buy other products. So, coal cannot be generated as early, as soon as it is consumed or as speedily as it is consumed. When you come to the non-commercial sources of energy, non-commercial means the name itself implies that you are not supposed to pay any money for that. It is available in the nature free of cost. So, these are all the free of cost products and they do not command any price. The examples are firewood, cow dung and agricultural waste. These are non-exhaustible over time. And again, we will come back to the conventional sources of energy. Conventional, from the good old time, energy sources of conventional energy are in usage over a longer period of time. So, they can be stored and they are non-renewable and they are available in limited capacities. And these conventional sources of energy are the one which pollute atmosphere, and these are expensive. The examples for conventional sources of energy are the coal, petroleum, and you all know they are highly expensive and most of the money from our GDP is being spent on these conventional energy resources. Next, we will move towards the non-conventional energy resources. These non-conventional energy resources are in usage in very recent period. They were in the usage over few decades of time, and the examples for conventional energy resources are solar energy, wind and biogas, and these non-conventional energy resources are renewable and they are available in the nature abundantly. So, there is no shortage of these and they are cheaper when compared to the conventional resources of energy. As you all know, solar energy is obtained through the sun rays. The God's sun will not demand you any money because today I have given you so and so kilos of solar energy and you should pay for me. No, there is no such demand. It is available in free. In China, largest energy demand is met by solar energy only. There, they have installed huge solar panels through a distance of kilometers away, and so that they can obtain the necessary energy. They are bearing the installation charges because installation of solar energy resources panels have a greater expenditure, but once they are installed, they can generate solar energy over a period of time. Again, these energy sources are categorized into two more ways. They are primary sources of energy and the final sources of energy. Primary sources of energy are those which are available as free gift of nature. As you all know, the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector, here also the primary means the same as in the primary sector. Primary is one which is available in the nature as a free gift, wherein the final sources are those which are converted by an input to get an output. This is electricity generation. For example, here we are generating the electricity through the input of water. Okay. So, the important two categories of the energy resources are again primary and final resources. Now, let us see about what is the importance of energy in the lives of the country's citizens as well as what are the roles played by energy resources in the economy of any country. As you all know, soon after when you step out from the home, you need a vehicle, and if you want to travel through the vehicle, definitely you have to put some energy resource for that. So, like this, from morning till night, we have a greater demand for energy. If your mother wants to cook something in the kitchen for you to feed, again she has to depend on one or the other form of energy. And if your father wants to go out for his work, again he is dependent on one or the other form of energy. And for all these, we are dependent on different sources of energy. There is a positive correlation that exists between the economical growth and demand for energy. You all know that we are all living in an agrarian country which is completely dependent on agricultural activities. 75% of Indian population are either directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture as well as allied activities. So, even though the agricultural sector is, even though the largest number of population is dependent on agriculture, there is low productivity because it is still manned labor dependent in India, and rather than the mechanical tools which are operated through electricity, and therefore only the contribution of agriculture is less when compared to the industrial sector. The total power generation capacity of our country in the year 1947, that is at the time of our independence, was 1362 megawatts, wherein as on March 2019, the electricity, the total power generation capacity of our country has increased to 414.10 gigawatts. And again, the per capita consumption of electricity in our country at the time of our independence was 16.3 units, and during the year 2018-19, it has increased to 1181 units. So, let us see about consumption pattern of the energy in our country. 71% of the electricity that is consumed in India is generated through thermal power plants. You all know these thermal power plants generate electricity with an input of coal. Out of the total generation capacity of the coal, 67% of the coal is used to generate electricity. And again, the hydel power generates 28% of the electricity, as well as nuclear power generates only 2% of electricity. So, now let us see about the state of infrastructure in the rural areas of our country. As you all know, the rural areas are yet to be electrified. The remote corners of our country are yet to be electrified, and this is being done through Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Grama Jyoti Yojana of our government, and different rural electrification projects have helped our country to be electrified, and they are witnessing the light in these days because of the various government projects. And you all know, even today also 56% of the rural women folk are using the biofuels or cow dung cakes and the crop residues to cook in the rural areas. So, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana is helping them to attain the LPG gas cylinders so that they can cook in a easier way, in a hygienic way. Various projects related to the development of rural areas in our country are in operation. Country like India with such a magnitude of population can attain a gradual increase in the GDP with the help of all these projects. So, our country is intended to gallop in the world's economy in the third place, and it is emerging as the third largest economy, and with all these new projects which involve crores of investment, they are moving towards the progressive area. And then these rural areas are electrified through even the solar panels also. Most of the regions which are industrially developed are being dependent on solar energy. Solar energy, as you all know, it does not require any kind of raw material. Only when once the installation charges are bared by the private sector or the government sector, then it is going to give the energy over a longer period of time. So, now let us see challenges faced in the power sector, because it is not very to supply power to one such country with huge population. Every other production sector requires electricity, and if we have to industrially grow and this industrial development definitely demands a greater supply of electricity. Infrastructure that provides greater employment opportunity is supplied with energy, and it should be given continuous and consistent supply of energy so that they can contribute to the improvement of our economical development. Inadequate generation of electricity is the biggest challenge in the power sector of our country. The total installed capacity of our country is 3,46,619 megawatts on 2018. But whatever the installed capacity is there of power is not being totally utilized. So, now let us see about the challenges in detail, that is severe shortage of electricity. In spite of production of electricity through geothermal plants, hydel powers, tidal waves and all these other different sources of energy, again there is a severe shortage of electricity because there is no balance between the demand and supply. There is no equilibrium because you all know the growing demand for electricity is found in our country, because a country with high population and rapid growth of population demands a greater supply of electricity, and that demand is not matched through the supply options. Next one is inadequate generation, that is the generation of electricity according to the demand for our country is inadequate. So, there should be different sources of energy that should be utilized for power generation so that it can supply energy to the complete population. And less capacity utilization, this is the major problem, the less capacity utilization, because this we call as the plant load factor, the underutilization of the installed capacity. For example, if a power generation plant has a power generation capacity, the installed capacity of 1000 megawatts, the total 1000 megawatts are not utilized, the less capacity utilization. There is no proper utilization of the complete installed capacity of the power. The next one is the transmission and distribution losses. Because of improper wiring or some other technical reasons, the transmission and distribution losses occur. These are called as popularly the T&D losses. The next one is continuous loss by state electricity boards. The SEBs are state electricity boards. As we have in every other state, the state electricity boards, and they are incurring loss continuously. This is attributed to many reasons, because there is a lot of theft being going on in the area of electricity. And then next one is the shortage of coal to produce thermal energy. Even though we have huge installed capacity which can produce heavy amount of power through this thermal energy, these thermal energy power plants are suffering the shortage of coal, because you all know that coal is not available abundantly in nature. We need to wait for thousands of years to get this coal, and because this coal is obtained through fossil fuels, you cannot get it as early or as speedily as you consume it. So, the shortage of coal to produce thermal energy is again a major problem. So, now let us see about the remedies for this, the remedies to cope up the problems that the challenges that the power sector is facing, and they are to encourage the privatization. This should happen. In our country, lots of infrastructural developmental activities are going on, but private sector is not involved into the generation of electricity. As you all know, investment for solar energy is higher, but when once the installation is done, you can get the energy over a longer period of time. You all know that the solar energy is converted into electricity through photovoltaic rays. That can be done easily, and the private sector participation, if it is done here or if it is encouraged in this area, they can assist in the area of the generation of solar energy, because India, being a tropical country on all 12 months of the year, can get abundant sun rays to produce solar energy, and geographical location of India also encourages for that. So, this is the best option because all the other petroleum products are going to exhaust in another next 60 to 80 years. And then again we have to dependent on the non-conventional energy resources only, as in the olden days the people were using them. The next remedy is the better research and development efforts. The government of India as well as the public sector and the private sector should put more efforts in the area of innovation in the generation of power in this country. The next one is increasing of production capacity. Whatever the installed capacity is established is not being utilized properly, and we need to increase the production capacity also. The next one is to minimize the transmission and distribution losses. This is very, very important. Power is generated in one power plant and it is transmitted to all the corners of the country, and in this transmission only there are lots of losses incurred and the distribution losses are also there. So, we have to minimize these transmission and distribution losses. Now, let us see about the sources of energy, and in India it is together called in one common unit. It is referred in one common unit, that is the different sources of energy is converted into a common unit in our country, and that unit is known as MTOE, that is million ton of oil equivalent. India is having greatest potential to have the MTOE, but it is not again satisfactory to meet the demands of the electricity in our country. Thermal power is the largest source of power generation in India, and the demand for power is more and it is greater than the growth of GDP. So, therefore, these geothermal power plants are established everywhere, and these geothermal power plants are established for the purpose of generation of electricity, and the chief input for this geothermal power plant is coal. Now, let us see about the three types of power plants which are installed in our country based on the fuels used. The first one is coal, the second one is gas, third one is diesel. Out of all these three types of geothermal power plants, the total energy consumption is done through this way. Let us discuss about the energy consumption pattern of India in the year 2018. The coal is consumed for 55.88%, crude oil is consumed to the extent of 29.55%, nuclear energy is consumed to the extent of 1.09%, hydroelectricity is contributing 3.9%, 91%, and renewable power contributes to 3.40%. Out of all these, you can see the nuclear energy is a very meager contributing energy resource. This is because when once if we use this, and it has a greater impact and it pollutes the atmosphere. You all remember the situation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which were dropped by the nuclear bombs. So, this is a very dangerous and deadly source of energy. Now, let us see about the sectoral share of energy consumption in India. Here, the industrial sector claims supremacy over all the other sectors. Earlier, this was done through transportation sector. During some few decades ago, transport sector was claiming supremacy over the consumption of energy, but now it is being replaced by the industrial sector. Industries today are being established through different projects of Industrial Development Authorities of India, because they provide employment opportunity and they produce the goods and services required for the economical growth of our country, and therefore only our GDP is growing in a progressive rate. Therefore, industrial sectors claim supremacy over the energy consumption. The next one is transport sector with 22%, The third one is agricultural sector with 21.9%, and the last one is household with 24.3%. Now, let us see what is the cause for the lower consumption of power in the area of agriculture. This is because in India still we are following the unscientific cultivation measures, and it is not completely dependent on the mechanical tools and equipments. Here agriculture in India is still being done by manned labor, and therefore only there is a low productivity, and the contribution is also less when compared to the industrial sector. Therefore, the commercial energy supplies energy to the total of the country to an extent of 76%, wherein the non-commercial energy, that is being freely obtained in the nature as a free gift of nature, is supplying the sources of energy to meet the demands of our country to the extent of 24%. So, you all knew that the power is the important component for the economical development of our country, and therefore, it is the key factor in the infrastructure of any economy. A higher portion of GDP is being spent on the power sector, so that in return it can contribute to the economical growth and development. So, with this I conclude this session. In our next session, let us discuss about the second important component of the infrastructure, that is about health. Thank you.